So I am checking out the new Windows terminal preview. Windows has a new terminal. It's very, very, very early, like they say on the store. It's early preview build, but you can install it from the store now, and so I did. Super early days. But yeah, it's so this is obviously I'm not gonna like do a elaborate review of its features right now, but I did want to share one or two things that I found in the first few minutes of playing with it, which is so first off, much like VS Code, you can get to the settings by hitting Control comma, except that I ran into one tiny little problem, which is that that I didn't have the right file association for .json files on my system, and so hitting Control comma did nothing. But once I fixed that, I set it up to open up in Visual Studio Code, and now it's fine. So yeah, it pops right up in VS Code, and it's useful to have that. So it just pops. There's no like settings dialog yet. There's just that JSON file, which I think is a perfectly reasonable way to start out. I am a sucker for I've always been a sucker for transparency in terminals. I don't know why. I just like it. I love the effect. So one of the first things that I wanted to do is I wanted to see if I could get some transparency effect here. And it turns out you can, and I really like the way they've done it, but it's not at all obvious how you turn it on. So first off, there is documentation for this. It turns out there is documentation for this settings file, but it's a little bit hard to find. If you go to the GitHub project for this. It's terminal/doc/cascadia/settings schema.md. That's where you find the settings for this on GitHub, or where the documentation for the settings is. So I'm going to be bookmarking that. And then I wish they should have a link to that. I guess they can't, because you can't have comments in JSON. Whatever. Anyway, and then, yeah, it's just a JSON file. So the way you enable background transparency is the very non-obvious use acrylic Boolean. I assume acrylic is like the technology or the excuse me, the library that's being used for this. But I'm going to change this to true for this profile, and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go back over here, and ta-da! It is now using transparency, which you can see better if I move this window around. What I love about this is that it's using the kind of modern Windows transparency thing. Maybe that's called acrylic, I don't know. But it's not just a straight up opacity. It's blurring. It's opacity plus blurring, which I just love, because it's a nice. Sometimes with pure opacity settings, it can get a little busy on the screen, a little hard to see, especially in screen recordings. And yeah, I know, like I could not have those visibility issues at all if I just didn't use transparency at all. But for some reason, I like transparency. So this is like this blur version, which gives me the warm fuzzies of transparency, but without any issues of the backdrop getting confusing and mixing with the text on the screen. So that's how you turn on transparency. There's also this setting for setting like how transparent it is. Notice one interesting thing is that the transparency goes away when you defocus the window. But let's change this to like 0.2. Oops. To be honest, now it's documented as being between like 0 and 1. How much the blurred background comes through versus the background color. So that's another thing I really like about how they've done this, is that you've got a background color and tab. Here's a WSL tab, and it's still got the transparency going, but it's like a black background because it's a different background color for that profile. So this makes it really easy to tell the difference between, still easy to tell the difference between PowerShell windows and Ubuntu windows, even while retaining the background effect. So all in all, well done. I like it. I'm happy with it. Lots of other stuff to explore here, but I haven't really dug into it very much. I'm sure there are like some things here that I could play with. I don't know. Let's do emoji support. This is the Ubuntu schema. Let's change this to FireCode. Hey, okay, it changed. I love that they've already got it set up to just automatically apply the settings as soon as you save. Really, really nice. I kind of half expected to have to restart it or something. So this is FireCode. Let's do an arrow. Yeah, all right. We've got font ligatures enabled by default. That's great. Yeah, super promising so far. I guess I should do like Vim. Yay, Vim works. Whatever. Now I have to try and quit. Cool. Trying to remember if there was anything else I wanted to show while I was doing this. No, I think that's it. Just like where to find this documentation, settings, and that transparency effect, which makes me happy. All right. Well, bye for now.